Matt Damon has finally spoken, and what he said about George Clooney and Amal's so-called divorce has everyone reeling. Is Hollywood's golden couple really crumbling? Or is this just another twisted headline spinning out of control? George and Amal just celebrated a decade of marriage, 10 years of love, resilience, and a partnership that defied the odds. Let us step closer to the truth, where facts collide with fiction and the real story leaves you questioning everything you thought you knew. Matt Damon's imaginary drama debut. First off, let's set the record straight. George and Amal Clooney celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary in September 2024. While tabloids salivate over the idea of high-profile breakups, the reality is far less juicy. George and Amal are, by all credible accounts, thriving. But hey, why let a little thing like the truth get in the way of a good headline? And yet, beneath the glossy smiles and picture-perfect appearances, there's a whisper, just a whisper, of something that could change everything. Now about Matt Damon. The man has been George's buddy since the late 1990s. You've seen them laughing it up in movies like the Ocean series and The Monuments Men. They've got that classic bromance vibe, playful jabs, genuine admiration, and a shared knack for self-deprecating humor. Damon has always been George's biggest cheerleader, once calling him incredibly loyal, with a huge heart. Not exactly the kind of guy you'd expect to spill tea about his friend's personal life, mostly because there's no tea to spill. Let's flash back to 2017, when George and Amal announced they were expecting twins. Damon, ever the supportive friend, could hardly contain his joy. He practically teared up when he heard the news, calling the future Clooney kiddos really lucky. It was a wholesome moment, the kind that makes you momentarily forget you're swimming in a sea of celebrity gossip nonsense. Damon's reaction back then proves he's more likely to send congratulatory texts than fan the flames of fake drama. So why are we here? Why are we even entertaining the idea that Damon broke his silence on a non-existent divorce? Simple. Clicks. Outrage. Speculation. The usual suspects in the circus of online rumors. It's like a game of telephone, but instead of funny misunderstandings, we get fabricated stories that snowball into full-blown narratives. Somewhere, someone probably thought, hey, Damon and Clooney are close. Let's drag Damon into this for extra spice. Here's the thing about George and Amal. They're not your run-of-the-mill Hollywood couple. She's an international human rights lawyer with a jaw-dropping resume. He's, well, George Clooney. But even his charm seems to take a back seat to her brilliance. Together, they're more likely to be seen advocating for global causes than throwing martini glasses at each other. And if they were having problems, do you really think Matt Damon would be the first to spill the beans? Let's not forget that Damon himself has been around the block when it comes to dodging tabloid nonsense. He's had his share of bizarre rumors, like the time people thought he was moving to Australia permanently. Spoiler, he wasn't. Damon knows the drill, and he's savvy enough to steer clear of adding fuel to the fire. Still, the allure of a juicy divorce story is hard to resist for some. After all, we live in a world where celebrity scandal ranks right up there with cat videos and memes. But can we, just for a second, acknowledge how exhausting it is? The constant need to speculate, dissect, and sensationalize every aspect of famous people's lives. It's as if the idea of a stable, happy marriage is too boring to exist in the collective imagination. Here's a little more context to chew on. George and Amal aren't exactly the types to keep their lives hidden. They're public figures, yes, but they're also about as transparent as one could reasonably expect. Amal's career is high profile by nature, involving cases that demand media attention. George, meanwhile, is still one of Hollywood's most recognizable faces. If there were cracks in their marriage, wouldn't someone with actual credibility have noticed by now? But no. Instead, we're stuck with recycled tabloid chatter that barely holds water. These kinds of rumors are designed to thrive in the absence of facts. They're engineered for virality, crafted to spark debates, not to inform. The more outlandish the claim, the more clicks it generates, even if it's completely baseless. It's the kind of strategy that keeps gossip rags alive, even when their credibility is in the gutter. Meanwhile, George and Amal's real lives are the kind that should be inspiring admiration, not baseless speculation. They're raising twins, Ella and Alexander, in what seems to be a loving and supportive household. They're juggling careers that are as impactful as they are demanding. George's work in philanthropy and film continues to make headlines, and Amal's dedication to human rights cases is nothing short of heroic. If there's drama here, it's the good kind. the kind that comes with balancing family and professional commitments, not the imaginary chaos these rumors are trying to sell. Let's circle back to Matt Damon. Can we all just agree that dragging his name into this is the epitome of lazy storytelling? Damon's public persona is practically scandal-proof. He spent years cultivating an image of reliability, wit, and a sort of everyman charm that makes him relatable despite his fame. To suggest he'd involve himself in something as petty as gossiping about George and Amal's marriage is frankly laughable. If Damon were to actually comment on this mess, one can only imagine it would be dripping with sarcasm, possibly a lighthearted jab at how bored the gossip columnist must be to conjure such a tale. But of course, he's too busy living his life to indulge in such nonsense. And his silence, the actual kind, not the kind tabloids like to invent, speaks volumes. So here we are. No divorce, no Damon statement, no drama. Just a couple celebrating 10 years together and a best friend who'd rather gush about their good fortune than stoke unfounded rumors. It's almost disappointing, isn't it? No fiery breakups, no messy headlines, no secret sources spilling sordid details, just regular old happiness. Yawn, right? If there's one takeaway from this whole non-story, it's this. Maybe, just maybe, not everything needs to be a scandal. Maybe George and Amal are simply doing their thing, raising their kids, and changing the world, while Damon cheers them on from the sidelines. And maybe, instead of falling for every clickbait headline, we can take a moment to appreciate that not all friendships or marriages are fodder for gossip. When the spotlight shines, stories get twisted. Let's see what's really going on with George and Amal. A tale of friendship and fame. Let's get this straight. Hollywood friendships don't exactly have a reputation for standing the test of time. All those red carpets, award season snubs, and competitive egos usually mean friends forever. Lasts about as long as a box office flop stays in theaters. But then there's George Clooney and his trusted partner in crime, the golden pair who've somehow managed to keep their bond intact for over 20 years. And yes, they're still riding that wave, even though the rest of Hollywood's friendships have gone the way of Clooney's bachelor lifestyle, outdated and retired. Their little tale of camaraderie kicked off way back in the year 2000 on the set of Ocean's 11. You'd think two huge stars would circle each other like wary cats, but nope, sparks flew. Platonic sparks, that is. According to Clooney, who loves a good soundbite, they hit it off instantly. And just like that, they were off to the races. Not in the romantic sense, relaxed tabloids, but in the let's make millions on screen together while having a blast sense. A win-win, right? From there, they hopped onto the Hollywood conveyor belt of sequels and side projects. Ocean's 12. Because when has Hollywood ever resisted cashing in? Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, Money Monster, and more recently, Ticket to Paradise. Every movie featured that patented Clooney and Company banter that's half charm, half eye-roll-worthy sarcasm. Critics called it chemistry. Skeptics might call it showing up for a paycheck with a buddy you tolerate. Either way, the formula worked. Moviegoers lapped it up, and their partnership became something of a brand. If Hollywood's favorite friends was a stock, you'd want to invest. Off-camera, their dynamic is one part mutual support and two parts elaborate prank war. Clooney, famous for being Hollywood's resident joker, met his match in his co-star. She's no saint either when it comes to on-set antics. Together, they've violent methods, co-stars and crew alike, with endless pranks. One has to wonder, does this humor stem from genuine affection or just boredom during endless takes? Whatever it is, it's been good for headlines. And then there's the personal stuff. Clooney spent the early 2000s convincing the world he was a permanent bachelor, only to blindside everyone by marrying Amal Alamuddin, an accomplished human rights lawyer, in 2014. By 2017, he had twins. Roberts herself is no stranger to the spotlight. She's navigated her own roller coaster of fame, family, and film flops. Let's not pretend every movie was a Pretty Woman. But through it all, there's Clooney, ready to gush about her talent, humor, or whatever other compliment will make headlines that day. In return, Roberts is quick to call Clooney her favorite co-star or share a cute anecdote about their friendship. It's almost like they're trying to keep their brand alive. Cynical? Maybe. But Hollywood thrives on nostalgia, and these two have plenty to go around. No Hollywood friendship is complete without a side of public intrigue. Clooney's personal life has always been fodder for gossip rags, so when whispers of trouble in paradise popped up about his marriage, it didn't take long for Robert's name to get dragged into the narrative. Did she really break her silence about Clooney's rumored issues? Hard to say, but even if she didn't, the gossip machine loves to spin a good tale. Robert's and Clooney's friendship, solid as it might be, isn't immune to Hollywood's favorite pastime, creating drama where there might not be any. Expanding beyond the publicized moments, the longevity of their friendship may rest on something less glamorous than Hollywood likes to admit: workplace camaraderie. For decades, the set of a film has been a second home to actors, and shared hours under hot lights or repeating lines dozens of times often forges connections that might not develop anywhere else. Clooney and Roberts exemplify this phenomenon. In the dozens of interviews and press junkets they've done together, there's a visible ease between them. It's the kind of casual banter that usually doesn't survive in an industry where publicists and egos loom large. Perhaps their friendship is less a miraculous anomaly and more a byproduct of shared career paths. Still, the constant polishing of their Hollywood's best buddies image raises eyebrows. For all the pranks and laughter, there's a very intentional marketing machine at play. Their shared projects have netted hundreds of millions of dollars, and a good chunk of that is owed to the story of their partnership off-screen. Audiences aren't just buying tickets for the film, they're buying into the relationship that's been carefully curated over decades. It's a strategy that's worked well for both of them, and it's part of why their friendship has stayed front and center in the public consciousness. Let's not forget how rare their bond is in a world dominated by fierce competition. Hollywood is notorious for being a dog-eat-dog world, where actors often see each other as threats rather than allies. It's worth questioning whether Roberts and Clooney's friendship has endured partly because they're rarely competing for the same roles. Their careers have taken distinct paths. Roberts as America's sweetheart, and Clooney as Hollywood's debonair everyman. There's little overlap, which might explain why their friendship has remained untainted by professional jealousy. Even with all the goodwill, their friendship isn't entirely immune to public scrutiny. Clooney's foray into family life has often been juxtaposed with Roberts' well-documented challenges in maintaining privacy for her own children. Their vastly different approaches to balancing personal and professional lives have occasionally invited commentary about who's doing it better, an unfair and frankly tired narrative that plays into stereotypes about men and women in Hollywood. But for the most part, they've managed to sidestep the pitfalls that often drag long-term friendships into the mud. Every partnership has a star who stands out, the dual lives of Hollywood's sweetheart. Of course, longevity alone doesn't make a friendship admirable. What sets Clooney and Roberts apart is their willingness to lean into their public personas and laugh at themselves in the process. Whether it's Clooney roasting Roberts during award shows or Roberts sharing behind-the-scenes anecdotes that feel carefully vetted but still funny, they've mastered the art of self-aware celebrity friendship. They're in on the joke, and that's part of what makes their dynamic so appealing to fans. Let's talk about Julia Roberts. You know, the America's sweetheart, whose grin could light up a room, or apparently distract you from thinking too hard about her career choices. Born to actor parents, Betty Lou and Walter Roberts, Julia practically grew up with the smell of theater dust in her nostrils. Her parents ran some artsy little thing called the Atlanta Actors and Writers Workshop, so it's not exactly shocking that she ended up in Hollywood. When you're raised with parents staging monologues in the living room, what else are you gonna do? Sell insurance? Please. Julia's early years weren't exactly glitzy. After trudging through Campbell High School, no scandals there, boring, she briefly dabbled in higher education at Georgia State University. But, shocker, college didn't stick. Instead, she packed up and headed to New York City, chasing her big break. Spoiler, she got it, but not right away. Her acting debut came with a small role in the TV show Crime Story in 1987, where she played a juvenile intimate victim. Then came Satisfaction in 1988, a film no one talks about because, frankly, it's not worth talking about. But hey, everyone's got to start somewhere, right? Fast forward to 1990, and Julia hit the jackpot with Pretty Woman. Suddenly, she wasn't just an actress. She was a phenomenon. People couldn't get enough of her hooker with a heart of gold act. The film was a box office smash, and Julia had officially arrived. Did the script have depth? Not really. Did people care? Absolutely not. From there, her career became a roller coaster of romantic comedies, dramas, and the occasional dud. My Best Friend's Wedding in 1997 and Notting Hill in 1999 solidified her as the go-to for romantic leads. Then came Erin Brockovich in 2000, where she ditched the rom-com fluff and won an Oscar. You'd think that would have marked a new era of serious roles, but no. She wasn't about to give up the paycheck-friendly charm of crowd pleasers. Julia's collaborations with George Clooney began with Ocean's 11 in 2001. Their chemistry was undeniable, mainly because they seemed to genuinely like each other. Hollywood's fake friendships are a dime a dozen, but this one seemed real. They followed it up with Ocean's 12 and a few other projects, including Ticket to Paradise in 2022, where their banter carried the film more than the plot ever could. Rumors about George's personal life eventually brought Julia into the conversation. The internet loves drama, and any comment she made was carefully dissected, analyzed, and memeified, because that's just how we roll in the 21st century. Did she reveal anything groundbreaking? No. But her presence always seems to add fuel to the fire, ensuring that neither she nor George will ever be far from the spotlight. Meanwhile, Julia's personal life is pretty tame. She's been married to cinematographer Daniel Moder since 2002, and they've got 3 kids. She keeps her private life well. Private. For someone who's been in the spotlight for decades, that's an achievement in itself. While she's still working, her recent projects include Leave the World Behind and narrating Lisa Marie Presley's memoir. She's clearly prioritizing family over fame these days. Now about her friendship with Clooney. These two have managed to stay close despite Hollywood's notorious knack for chewing up relationships and spitting them out. They've pulled pranks, praised each other in interviews, and generally behaved like two people who genuinely enjoy each other's company. It's refreshing, sure, but also a little nauseating in that, oh look, they're just like us kind of way. Except they're not. They're absurdly rich, absurdly famous, and can probably order room service in their sleep. Julia's career, much like her public persona, is a mix of charm, talent, and calculated choices. She's not the risk-taker who'll star in some indie film for the sake of art. She's a brand, and she knows it. And hey, it's worked for her. But don't let the dazzling smile fool you. Behind the glitz and glam, Julia's as savvy as they come, navigating Hollywood's murky waters like a pro. Julia's rise to fame wasn't handed to her on a silver platter, even if her parents' artistic inclinations nudged her in that direction. She's always known how to play the long game, whether that meant starring in crowd pleasers or carefully avoiding scandals that could have derailed her career. Her charm lies in her relatability. Even when it's carefully manufactured, she knows the power of a smile, a laugh, and just the right amount of mystery to keep people intrigued. So, what do you think? Has Julia mastered the art of staying relevant, or is she just playing it safe? Drop your thoughts in the comments, like, and subscribe.